What's going on, guys? It's Luke22SV here, and today I'm going to go through my F1 2020 season predictions. And now this is going to be after the pre-season testing. So with that, all the pre-season testing being done, and me trying to work out who's quickest and who's slowest, I've decided to come up with my own predictions for the 2020 season, based off what I've seen in pre-season testing. And I could be hugely wrong, like I was last season when I predicted Vettel to win the World Championship, but this season I think I might be a bit more accurate. Without further ado, let's get straight on into the constructors. How I'm going to predict it going from first to last, and that's going to be to start off in first place. I think Mercedes. They look very good in pre-season testing. They don't normally hit the top of the timesheets in pre-season testing, but this pre-season they did. Of course, they got that new DAS system as well attached to their car, and they look to be best, to be honest. And no one seems to be able to look. Everyone's playing catch-up, really. Red Bull look probably about second best at the moment, but the Ferrari as well. They haven't really lit up the timing screens as well, Ferrari. So I put Mercedes at the top. In second place, I put Ferrari. Of course, they don't really look too strong at the moment in pre-season, but they could be sandbagging. And everyone is expecting them to be sandbagging with the budget and everything else they've got to be slow in pre-season, to be behind Racing Point or something like that. That can't happen. Surely not with the budget that Ferrari have. So I think they've got to be sandbagging, and I think they'll be second still. They got, of course, Leclerc and Vettel. It's probably one of the strongest lineups in Formula One, and that's probably why I think they'll finish ahead of Red Bull this season. They'll be about consistent, but I don't think they'll be fighting for a championship this season too much. I'll get on to that soon. But yeah, third place Red Bull. I think Verstappen's going to be the strong one there, but Albon in his second season, didn't really think too much of him in his first season in F1. He did quite well, but again, sort of been sixth place for the races he was at Red Bull. Pretty much, bar anything happening else with the other drivers. But yeah, Red Bull to be third place, as everyone expects the top three to stay the same, but no one really expecting anyone else to get amongst the top three. Although for my fourth place prediction, Racing Point, they could perhaps get amongst the top three at the start of the season, which a lot of people are expecting, and that's why I'm driving as Sergio Perez at the moment as well, as you can see on screen. But I think Sergio Perez could actually finish P6 in the driver standings this season. He's shown many times over the last few seasons that he's a very good driver. Could be worthy of a top seat. Maybe he will be in a top seat in a few seasons anyway with Aston Martin. He's contracted to the Aston Martin team or Racing Point until 2022, I think. So a couple more years left on his contract. He could be finding himself in the top team whilst he's at Aston Martin, or could potentially be a driver to be thrown around in a Ferrari Mercedes frame in a couple of years' time as well. But yeah, Sergio Perez, a very good driver for Racing Point. I think he may be able to be the reason why Racing Point are going to finish fourth. Again, like Red Bull, they've got, well, one driver that's very good and another driver that's fairly average. Of course, Stroll didn't really impress too much last season whilst he was at Racing Point. He did finish fourth in Germany, but that was quite lucky amongst with everything else going on in that race. But maybe Stroll in his second season at Racing Point may be a bit better. We have to hope so, of course, with Stroll being the only reason he's really in that team is probably down to the money that his dad's got as well. So move on to fifth though. Now this is really close. I didn't know whether to put Renault or McLaren in P5 or P6 in the constructors, but I went with Renault. I think now with Ricciardo and Ocon, of course Ocon back in F1 now, so he's going to be hungrier than ever to impress as well. And Ricciardo now probably leading that team properly as well. I think they could potentially get a few podiums as well this season. I think that it looks like a good season. The car actually looks decent for Renault, a lot better than last season, I think. So I think straight off the bat they'll be quite decent. I think they'll be in Q3 at least, both of them in Australia. But I think they may just finish ahead of McLaren this season. I think it will be very close. It could go a long way, and maybe even fighting with the Racing Points as well. But I think Renault will be fifth best, and McLaren, of course, will be sixth. I think they'll have again a good season. I mean, I don't think it will be as good as last season with Racing Point and Renault as well improving, but I don't think they'll be too disappointed with 6th though, because I think they're going to have a good season anyway, but it's going to be very close, and who knows, I may be completely wrong, they could be higher than 6th as well, but it's going to be very close, I think, between the midfield, the top half of the midfield at least. But now towards the bottom half of the midfield, I've gone for 7th, AlphaTauri. I think that they'll probably be best of the lower sort of midfield teams at the moment. Danny Kvyat and of course Gasly, I think they're a strong driver lineup as well for the season. I think they'll be the reason why AlphaTauri will finish ahead of the rest of the pack. Both drivers have had a podium last season, of course, with Toro Rosso, but AlphaTauri or AlphaTauri, I don't know which one it is, but yeah, I think they'll be quite strong. They'll be around sort of 11th to 12th sort of places. They'll pick up points as well when they can, but I think they'll just be ahead of the rest of the pack as well. I think that they're both a very strong lineup there as well. So now moving on to 8th, I think that'll be Alfa Romeo. I think Raikkonen and Giovinazzi in his second season now. Giovinazzi may start to outpace Raikkonen now. I think Raikkonen's probably heading towards his last season in Formula 1, and Giovinazzi will, in his second season, will only keep improving. And I think in the end, Alfa Romeo keeping hold of Giovinazzi was a good decision. He did have a lot of mistakes until I think it was Spa as well. He binned it on the last lap, which I thought at that point, that's probably at the end of his F1 career at that point. I mean, but after that he did manage to salvage his F1 career, to be fair, and managed to get Alfa Romeo to sign him a contract for this season. And I think now he's got to push on, and it's really a make or break season for Giovinazzi, and I think he's really got to outscore Raikkonen this season if he wants to throw himself in the frame for even the Ferrari seat if that comes up for him next season, and maybe even retaining that Alfa Romeo seat. We know that I think there's 5 or 6 Ferrari juniors in Formula 2 as well, all knocking on the F1 door, so he's got to be careful there. And then we got Haas as well in 9th. I think they won't get any better or any worse, to be honest, than last season. I mean, Magnussen probably will be carrying that team again, like he has for the last couple of seasons, but Grosjean again, I think this has to be his last season. I mean, last season had to be his last season, to be honest, but for some reason Toro Rosso kept him when there was much better options on the table, Hulkenberg being one of them as well. So yeah, and then Williams, I'm not sure if it's a surprise, but they're bottom, although I think Williams will be actually closer this time to the rest of the pack. I think they'll get a few more points. I think Russell, though, again, he's pretty much going to be the main man for that team this season. Latifi, not a terrible driver, but I don't think he'll set the world alight. Of course, it is his first season, but I think it's a good base to build on for Williams. Although with the next season regulation changes, I think is a little bit too little, too late for Williams to really improve too much. I think if they're going to get any points, it'll be in the first half of the season, and yeah, they'll stop developing this car and then move towards 2021 very quickly. But for the Drivers' Champion, I think it's going to be Hamilton. He's going to get that 7th title this season. Verstappen's going to push him a long way, but I think he may come up short as well, unfortunately, for Verstappen. But yeah, I don't really see the Ferraris fighting for the championship. I think Bottas will be 3rd, maybe a bit of a distant 3rd, maybe fighting with the 2 Ferraris for that position. And I think best of the rest, I think, will be Sergio Perez. I think Perez may even be able to get 6th in the driver standings, although that might be a bold statement. I've also predicted that Raikkonen will retire at the end of this season as well, and I've gone for Romain Grosjean getting dropped halfway through the season. That's another one of my predictions for this 2020 season. I think Romain Grosjean will be dropped, and another one, I think it could. This is probably just a random idea. This may be another season like 2012. We saw in 2011 it was just 3 teams winning that season with Mercedes, Ferrari, and I think it was Red Bull, McLaren and Ferrari that season that won. But then last season we saw, of course, it was 3 teams winning, and then with a sort of steady regulations, no big changes going into the season afterwards, we saw a hell of a load of teams catch up with the top 3, and then we saw, of course, like the likes of Lotus getting a win, Williams got a win, Mercedes ended up getting a win as well. So we may see something like that. Racing Point, Renault and McLaren, they're the 3 likely teams I could see to get amongst the top 3 this season, and I think it does look a lot closer this season. So maybe we could see another 2012 sort of season. Well, maybe that's just wishful thinking, but I think we definitely will see a Racing Point, a Renault and a McLaren on the podium this season. That's what I'm going to say. And if I'm right or wrong at the end of the season, I'll be, well, we'll have to wait and see throughout the season. But I think this 2020 season is going to be a very exciting season, though. I think it will be much more exciting than last season, and even the second half of last season was very exciting after the French Grand Prix. But I think this is going to be a good season. It's almost sad that there's going to be a regulation change at the end of this season, I think, because all the changes could end up spiralling into a different formula when this is actually starting to get decent now in the 2020 season with these steady regulations. But, well, we'll have to wait and see how this season goes, of course. But I think it's going to be a very good one. And I can't wait to see how it unfolds, to be honest, because yeah, it's going to be, I think it's going to be very close at the top, and I just think Mercedes is going to edge it, though. Although I could be wrong. I think Ferrari and Red Bull definitely are going to win a few races this season. Particularly Verstappen, he's getting stronger and stronger every season. Of course, he was almost in contention for the title a bit until perhaps Spa, when it all unravelled and he ended up in the wall on the first lap. But yeah, I think it's going to be a very interesting season, though. If Ferrari can get a good car as well, we don't know whether their car is actually good or not, although they're saying it's not, so maybe they're doing a Mercedes and saying that they're behind their rivals, and I don't know, but we have to take that with a pinch of salt, I think, at the moment, and see how it goes into Australia. But this is my pre-season predictions, and yeah, I was very wrong last season. I don't know how wrong or right I'll be this season, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But that's pretty much going to be it for this video. We'll see how right I am towards the end of the season. Let me know what you think. Let me know how wrong you think I am. And yeah, put your constructors in whatever order in the comments, and we'll see how similar they are to mine, or what you think will be of the season as well. So hope you enjoyed this video, guys. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you very soon for my career mode, and maybe some more other F1 videos as well. I'm going to be looking to get a lot more videos uploaded at the moment. It's just seems to be career mode at the moment, but yeah, I'm going to try and upload a few more things here and there. So like and subscribe. Hopefully you enjoyed this video today, and I'll see you very soon.